I see that you connected. We're ringing Liam. Liam is ringing, but nobody answered. Yeah. Well, hi, Liam.
All right.
How you doing?
All right.
A little better now. I OD'd on all the coronavirus stuff. I was becoming obsessive about watching it, and just when John Prine died,
Yeah.
it was an inspiration to me, and it was one of the first songs I ever learned to play was one of his, and it was like it was this tipping point. I just had to sort of not do anything. Today, just starting to catch up on my email and Facebook stuff.
And there you are.
And here I am. Actually, today my brother is back at work, and it's incredibly busy where he is at Lordco because so many people are coming in because they have time to fix their own cars. It's just
Right.
crazy. They have fewer staff on and shorter hours because they have to maintain distances, and he's really stressed about it. So every day when he comes home, I sit with him and let him
Aww.
Decompress.
Social distancing. And all this is stupid. I'm not going to do this,
Yeah.
Then you're not going to get served. So, in one way, that's sort of my most likely vector.
Yeah.
But so when he comes home, he washes his hands, he takes a shower, he eats very good, and he's got, all kinds of cleaners. So he's very, very careful.
Right.
Still, we tend to stay quite a few feet apart.
Good idea.
Let's get home.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing today. I tend to lose track of what day it is sometimes.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy Tuesday.
I knew about the class on Tuesday, but I forgot that it was Tuesday until it was too late. Oh my God, it was,
Well, we're going to talk about our meditations now, and then we'll chat after.
Yeah.
So, in on this part, though.
Is Richard there? See, it says his camera's off, but I don't know if he's actually hello there or not.
Hello.
Hello. No?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I got to talk about something. You'll like this. Hang in there, Liam.
well, I see you're live here.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. So anyway, I'm on live here, so I'm going to talk. And Dallas, you don't have to focus on that, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm listening to you.
All right. So anyway. Now we got a problem.
Yeah. I'm going to shut the microphone off here and see. Now try.
All right. Of course, I took us through the meditation, the middle pillar, and there was that kind of, I don't know, sort of a special quality to things today. For me, inside. It's really bad.
Maybe you could shut your microphone off, Liam? Because
I will, and I'll watch him on the big screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And special quality of things today for this, and so I'm trying to remember now. It seemed like so much at the time, but I went to my place, and there was this being there that is like a guide for me, and I sort of stepped into him, into him, and became him, and was one with this guide. And I got a sense of this, because of course in the study material, it talked about Kether being the crown, being the pure light that is not part of our consciousness necessarily, but it is on our consciousness. It is above our consciousness. And hence the symbol of the crown. And I got this sense when I was this guide, or stepped into this guide, that there was this sense of light, like a spark, a diamond, a crystal of light, actually in the top of my head that I could sense. And for me, that's what this experience was about, was being able to retain the awareness of the spirit realm, the spiritual light. That, we can do all these sort of, you can be religious, you can be spiritual, you can meditate daily, you can study all this esoteric and mystical stuff and meditate and be all mystical and try to have awareness of all these aspects of spirituality and life. And but it sure is not that easy to be in that awareness day to day, hour to hour, moment to moment. Why is it that we always seem to be having to reach for peace, to reach for awareness? Why is it that enlightenment seems so elusive? We discussed this just the other day, last week, about, well, that's why the hermits are hermits, and that's why people live in, like, the old spiritual kind of people would go to the abbey and go to the prayer cell and be alone, is because be separate from the world, because the world intrudes and screws up our awareness of spiritual energy. And so that's what this was about, that I've stepped into this sort of guide being, and that guide being has that light, that spark in their awareness all the time. And that this is something that, I guess that we can have. We just have to remember and be aware of it. Like, I'm driving in my car, I'm having a shitty day. I'm a spiritual being that's eternal. So what the fuck? Let's have some perspective here.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So another interesting thing happened is I was in this cabin room space I go to lately, and then the swirlings, and it was like I was called upon Metatron to show me something, and it was as this spark opened up. Oh yeah, no, but before that, it was all this stuff of seeing, like, before science rationalized everything, the whole idea of this deep God energy and the God energy. So I got this idea of a great storm in the sky and lightning. And lightning was associated, of course, with Thor and with Zeus and the Father God, and this idea of this, when before we had the scientific knowledge that these things like a meteor racing across the sky, or a tremendous lightning storm or something like this, was, for a more primitive mind, was God, was a representation of God, and hence we get this idea of the light, and that surprising light out of darkness being kind of, my God, it's what is it? It must be the gods. And so this, and to things like northern lights, and this is a manifestation of spiritual energy. And of course we have a rational scientific explanation for it, but does that mean it is not a manifestation of spiritual energy? So, and then I was in this space and I saw, because I mentioned like, well, it looks like in the preliminary discussion, a symbol for Kether is the swastika, and I showed the swastika in the Kabbalistic Tarot book as pointing the opposite direction of the Nazi swastika because it's showing the swirlings going clockwise. And I got this in the meditation. I saw this spark of light start to open gradually, and as it got bigger and bigger, you could see it spinning, but it was spinning counterclockwise. And the idea I was getting here, that is, as the light entered, as this portal opened, the motion was counterclockwise to create the portal. And then once that happened, then it started to go clockwise, and that's when I got sucked in.
Whoa.
To this light portal.
Wow.
And on the other side of the light portal is the other side. And the other side was, on this level, certainly was filled with light and light beings and some of my dear departed. And I thought of my teacher, Phyllis, of this material. And I thought of I saw my mom.
Wow.
And this whole, all these different like kind of souls in light, and I couldn't really differentiate who they all were, but there certainly seemed to be a number of beings that were light beings in a field of light, and so it was really hard to discern what was what. I needed my spiritual shades or something to see my Polaroid lenses, but it was all so bright. But certainly it was like on the other side, so it was like this portal to the other side, and it's just so filled with light, and also love. And I got that sense of love from Phyllis and from my mom's spirit and from just this tremendous reassurance. And it was really, and then I remember in my reading, which I didn't think we really covered in the reading material, but that the passage to Kether is through the heart and through Sephroth and Yehovah Elovadah, that's the channel to the higher realm, and that's because of that's the light chakra, the love chakra that we can connect to. So yeah, that's what I wanted to mention.
You wanted to just mention that.
I just wanted to. That was it. That was pretty well it.
Wow, that's intense.
There was something else too, but it was all intense.
Yeah, that's what else was there?
No,
you don't
so
want
that's
to go
all I got.
Oh,
That's
okay.
all I got.
Wow, that's okay. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. I got this. I started by sort of going to the tree, but the tree seemed like out of place. It seemed like shrouded in this mist, and as this mist lifted, I was kind of lifted, and it felt like a swirling feeling, because in my mind I just kept having this swirling, and I was like raised up into darkness, and then there were pinpoints of light, like flash bulbs going off, and then there was this big flash, and sort of like, you know how those fireworks are, that there's a big flash and then there's a bunch of little like,
Yeah.
and it was
Crackling.
like poof, and there were just these big wings and this huge being, and it was just all like shimmering, and I was just like so amazed and so enthralled by this, and it was just like it had left an imprint on me, and there was so much that I was wanting to like ask, and so much that I was wanting to see, and all I was being shown was this light and symbols were being pressed like into me, and I could feel the chakras in my hands starting to spin, and I recognized some of the symbols as like Reiki symbols, and I was shown like 20 years in the future, and then back again. And it was just like all in an instant, this expanding and contracting and expanding and contracting. And this, anytime I would say something and I would recognize him as Metatron, and I would say something and he would respond with, there are no endings, there are only infinite beginnings. There are no endings, there's only infinite beginnings. And he would sort of pulsate with this light and shimmer as he said it. And it was just, there was more, but it was just like, it's just so much now in this darkness with this light just pulsating. And yeah, that was my message. And I was like, as he was pressing these symbols into me, my body was being surrounded like in this glow, like this, shrouded in this very bright white light. And I've got work to do here. Yeah, that's part of the message. I've got work to do here, and that there are no endings, there are only infinite beginnings. And that was my message from
That's a big message.
The great beyond. Yeah. So, in a nutshell, that was it. But that was intense.
Okay, we're going to end the live video and thank everyone, and we will carry on with something next week. We're not sure exactly what yet. We may go back and revisit Yesod, which is a pathworking we did that didn't record properly.
The second pathwork.
Second one. And we got some other things we could do, but whether it's the next few weeks, for sure we'll be starting on the paths 11 through 32, which will begin with the Fool card of the Tarot and Aleph, and the
which is the path from
Kether to Binah. So and so that's it for now. But not it for Liam. We could turn up Liam again.
And if anybody